Hello, GM. Thanks everyone for taking the time to be here today for this Furucombo Workshop around NFT Fi. So we can get right into it. So the agenda for this workshop will just be an introduction around what is NFT Fi, what can you do with NFT Fi. So the use cases right now are around fractionalization, renting, derivatives, and lending and borrowing. What NFT Fi platforms are there currently, and then kind of what's next or what's the summary for NFT Fi. So NFT Fi is basically essentially just using NFTs to finance transactions through accessing more liquid assets. So right now, NFTs kind of suffer from a low liquidity market, or if you have a blue chip NFT like a Bored Ape, if you're looking to become more liquid or get some funds, the only choice you have right now without the NFT Fi market is to sell that blue chip NFT or Bored Ape to get some liquidity. So NFT Fi looks to solve that problem. So it allows owners to earn also real yield on their NFTs instead of leaving the NFT passively in your wallet. So some of the use cases, as I mentioned before, is fractionalization, renting, derivatives, and lending borrowing. The biggest market right now is around lending borrowing and fractionalization, but renting is starting to take off a little bit, and then derivatives is not yet very mature, but there are a couple platforms working on that. So first we'll get into what is fractionalization. So this is the process of sharing ownership of an NFT through a set of fungible tokens tied to the original NFT. So basically, if you or a group of people have a Bored Ape or some kind of NFT, you can fractionalize it into parts, say 1/100th, and you can share ownership over that NFT. So the benefit to that is maybe, you don't have to have as much funds to own a portion of an NFT. So you can call yourself an NFT owner. Um, you may be able to set that as your profile picture if you own a piece of the NFT, things like that. So yeah, again, this allows investors that are less capitalized to gain exposure to these expensive NFT collections, kind of bring more people into the scene, essentially. The problem with this is there's difficulty in, kind of putting the NFT back together if people are looking to sell it, or if you want to use it as governance. There's the issue of who's gonna be able to perform some kind of governance, or if you have to use the main NFT for governance, how is that going to work? So there's a few platforms for this fractionalization. Fractional art is probably the biggest one, and then there's a couple we'll go over at the end once we look at how these interfaces actually work. So the second use case for NFT Fi right now is around NFT renting. So blue chip NFTs, as mentioned, are not that affordable for the majority of people. So renting allows leasers to enjoy the perks of an NFT and renters to enjoy some of the passive income. So a use case around this may be, you need a specific NFT to get into a party in real life. So you can rent this NFT to gain access to the party, maybe for a few hours, and then give it back to the owner once you're done with it. Something like that. So there's two types of NFT renting right now. There's collateralized renting. So those platforms allow NFT holders to lend their assets in a smart contract that will need to be over collateralized in order to borrow the asset. So this is to protect the lender. Similar to borrowing on DeFi platforms today, like Aave or Maker, you have to provide more collateral than than you're allowed to borrow. Then there's something called collateralist renting, And this means the renter will never actually receive the original NFT. So the renting platforms allow lenders to deposit their NFT, and it'll make a wrapped version. So that wrapped version will be given to the person that's lending, and then after the contract expires, it'll be burned and it'll be sent back to the lender, or lendee in the original sense. We'll get the wrapped version. So there's a few collateralized lending or renting, and these are, I'd say, the more prevalent protocols in the NFT renting space. So IQ Protocol and Vera. And then there is one collateralless renting protocol, and that's Re-NFT. So the next use case is around NFT derivatives. And the main benefit of this market, and every derivatives market, is liquidity. So derivatives markets are much larger than spot markets, and this allows owners to leverage NFTs and users to trade in either direction of the price of an NFT. So this allows you to kind of hedge your bets. Maybe you own a Bored Ape, but you think the price is going to go down. You can go into the derivatives market, and you can hedge your risk against owning the Bored Ape by, opening some shorts on the asset if you think the price is going to go down. And again, this gives you more options with hedging your bets or leveraging yourself. So some platforms around this are NFT futures, or and that's a perps market, and then Fuku, which is an options market. Both of these are very much in the infancy stage. Fuku is not yet live, so there isn't much trading going on with these platforms yet. But this is one of the potential use cases. And until we see a more developed spot market, we probably won't have a very robust derivatives market. Especially because you need a strong spot market with the oracles and everything in order to create a derivatives market. So the biggest one right now, and the final use case for NFT Fi in the early days here, is around lending borrowing. So there's 3 types of lending borrowing right now. There's a P2P market, or P2P lending, and that's done via smart contract. There's lending or collateral debt positions, and that's created by locking collateral in a smart contract and generating a stable coin. And the main protocol that's available for that right now is BendDAO, so we'll get into how that looks. And then lending pools, so that's an over-collateralization approach, and borrowers can post NFTs as collateral and lend from that. And then the platforms are NFT Fi, Arcade, Unify, and BendDAO. So this is kind of what's available right now in NFT Fi, but it's very early on. And then more use cases will develop as NFTs, start to take off. Maybe there could be some different use cases around, what's available with NFTs in terms of, tied to your personal assets, or, school degrees, stuff like that. So right now, this is kind of just around the crypto side, but there are going to be potentially more use cases as this opens up. So I just wanted to look into how NFT Fi works. So again, NFT Fi is where are we here? Lending borrowing. So it's quite simple. A borrower can list an NFT. The lenders can then make an offer. The borrower then can accept the offer. So the contract transfers principal from lender to borrower, and the contract locks the asset in escrow. Then the borrower can repay that loan. So the contract transfers principal plus interest from the borrower to the lender, and then the contract transfers asset back to the borrower. And then the borrower doesn't pay, and lender forecloses the loan. So that will force the contract transfer NFT back to the lender, and then the borrower can keep the principal. So the last, the 4 or 5th one is or. So there's 2 options there. The borrower either repays the loan or the borrower doesn't pay and the lender forecloses the loan. So pretty traditional in the sense of if you've been on Aave, that's kind of the same situation that works here. So if Furucombo was to add an NFT Fi platform such as NFT Fi, then it would be pretty interesting to see manage your position using flash loans. So let's just get into quick what's available for NFT lending. So right now the largest is BendDAO lending, and that's at just over 228 million in TVL. So that's the largest right now in terms of NFT lending. And then here is their interface. So they have some interesting options. So for example, you could stake your ape, and you can get ApeCoin pool staking APY, for instance. So if you stake your, I believe it's Bored Ape, then you'll get 86.17% staking APY. At the same time, you could stake your, for example, Bored Ape, and this one has a floor price of 78, and you're able to borrow 46 ETH from that asset. And then you also get some BendDAO reward here for staking that. So these are the options here. So as you can see, the, I guess, collateral ratio gets larger as the value gets smaller on some of these smaller NFTs, which makes sense. There's more risk with the price fluctuation. So the Bored Ape Yacht Club gives you about a 55% borrow rate here. So you can take out debts of about 55%. Not sure what the liquidation ratio is, but I would imagine it's probably around 70%. So we can see here the active collaterals as well. So the Bored Ape Yacht Club and Mutant 8 Yacht Club and Azuki is the highest in terms of active people staking this and pulling some assets out, or Ethereum borrowing against their collateral position here. So this is interesting because, again, it provides you with more liquidity if you are in these blue chip NFTs and you don't have any other sources of, purchasing an asset, or, you have your funds just sitting in your wallet. You're going to keep this anyways, so you might as well have it working for you, either getting these rewards. So ApeCoin pool, I guess this would be the asset from the ApeCoin that you can stake. So in this case, staking your NFT will only give you 27%, but still 27% on an asset that you just have sitting in your wallet is pretty good, especially if you consider what Aave is going to be paying you to provide your asset on their platform. So this is pretty interesting. This is what most people are using. And again, most of these platforms are going to be on the Ethereum chain because NFTs are mostly trading on Ethereum right now. So the second one we could look at here is NFT Fi. And again, that is another lending borrowing platform. So if we go into the D app here, we can see we can lend or we can borrow. So if we go under the borrow tab, or lend, yeah, we want to be under the lend tab. We can see the listings here. So we can see if we want to borrow this doodle. Okay, we can see offers received. We can see the average loan amount of this. Owner information. Okay, and you can, for example, borrow this asset for 90 days. This is the price, and this is the repayment amount. So you're going to have to provide a collateral up to 30 ETH, and you're going to have to repay if you want to borrow this. So there's a pretty hefty fee for this. But this kind of gives you, on your own terms, what if you only need this for a couple of days to get into a party, you're given this option here. So this is a pretty interesting platform. Again, very similar to BendDAO, a little bit more confusing interface, but once you play around with it, it become more streamlined for you. So the third platform we're going to look at is Tessera, and this is a fractionalization platform. So this is kind of interesting because it allows you to bid yourself on a fraction of NFT. So for example, if you want to collectively own this Chromie Squiggle, you can buy a portion of that NFT. So a portion of the asset, so 1/250th. And then if this, I believe this auction has to go through where it buys all the portions of it. Or I'm not sure if they already own it and they're just selling a portion of it. But in any case, if you want to own 1/250 of the Chromie Squiggle, you can buy this portion on Tessera here. And again, this is cool because it provides you some portion of an NFT that you wouldn't otherwise be able to own. Cool. And then the final one we'll look at is Vera. So this is a collateralized renting. And this gives you the ability to just kind of rent short-term an NFT instead of going with a longer kind of timeline around something like NFT Fi. So this will give you kind of short-term or define better your terms. So again, very similar. You can choose your max duration. So in this case, if you want to, get this rich dwarf here, you can define up to 50 days, and then the daily rent price is 50 USDC. And you'll have to provide some collateral, in this case 50 USDC, and then we can see the rental cost of this there in terms of APR. So let's see if there's so there is a Bored Ape here you can rent. 100 days. So daily rent price is 0.5 ETH. So quite expensive for this one. Let's see if there's any data on if anyone's actually rented any of this stuff. So in this case, minimum 1 day, max 100 days for this Bored Ape. So again, quite expensive if you are looking to rent this just for 1 day to maybe get access to a party. That may be too much for you, but 0.5 ETH is what you're looking at to rent this one. So unfortunately, I can't see... I can't see if there's been any confirmed NFT rentals, but it looks like they only have 25 listed. So it doesn't look like there's much action in terms of renting on this yet. But this is the concept anyways around NFT Fi. So we'll kind of have to see how that develops. So right now I'd say the lending borrowing is the biggest use case for NFT Fi. Okay, and then in summary, so yeah, as mentioned, we're still early. There's many use cases and protocols being developed. And but this early market kind of has allowed NFT holders to generate more liquid assets through lending instead of just leaving your assets passively in your wallet. So this was similar to when DeFi launched for ERC20 tokens. It's very early days. So we'll have to kind of see how this develops. and it'll be interesting to see the spot market develop, and then kind of derivatives develop, start getting some volume, and start seeing where the market takes us. So thanks everyone for being here for this NFT Fi workshop. I hope that gives you some insight into where things are at. And everyone in attendance will receive a OAT. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the chat, and then be happy to get back to you. So thanks again for attending. Cheers.